Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines with Living the One Light. All right, I'm going to make a relatively short video, kind of on the fly, because because of some things that came through this morning in my monthly member gathering. And actually, it's related to some things that came through yesterday in the workshop I was doing with my astrology course. Okay. But it's all relevant to our eclipse that's happening on Monday. And this just feels so alive for me. And I feel like I really want to share it with you. And I would also really love your thoughts. I'd love to feel into this together. There's so many layers, and it felt like there wasn't enough time in the astrology workshop, and there wasn't enough time even in the member gathering today to go into all of the layers of it. So even in myself. So it's really alive in me. And, so I'm making this video to partly to appease myself because I would love to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling it when I show you what I'm talking about. Um, yeah, okay. So, and I'll also say that the membership is open, and it's $22 a month, not very expensive. And when you join the membership, you actually get access to every single member gathering that has ever happened in the membership ever. And the membership started in July of 2022. So, you can pay $22 and have access to almost 2 years worth of channelings and sharing and all of that. And you can join for just one month at a time. You don't have to, you can cancel anytime, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So I can share more at the end of this video about the membership if you're interested. I'm also going to be starting a monthly sacred soul sharing circle, which is different from my membership, but kind of related. When you sign up for the sharing circle, I'll just give you the membership as part of that if that's something you're wanting. So those sharing circles are gonna be, I'm gonna hold it at 2 different times in the month, and I'll say more about that also coming up. Yeah. Anyway, those are two things kind of percolating. If you're wanting to join in with me more often, and with people in this community more often, the membership is a great way to do that for, very affordable amount of money. Okay. Now, here's what I want to talk about. So, as you probably are aware, we have, because everybody in the world is talking about it pretty much, we have a total solar eclipse coming on Monday, April 8th, 2024. All right. So this eclipse is a new moon on the north node of the moon in the seasonal sign of Aries. However, now I made a whole video about the eclipse. I've done lots of stuff about the eclipse, but here's the new layer of what's coming alive for me personally. And it feels, this morning when I was channeling for the member gathering, it was just so present. And then yesterday, actually, in the workshop for my astrology course, also, this was so present for me. Let me show you. So if we look at where this eclipse is in the sky itself, here is what we see. Okay, so this is stellarium.org, and it's you can go there for free and see this if you want. So I put in the time, next, let's see, should be, yes, April 8th, 2024. So it's the day of the eclipse. So you can see this is the moon, this black dot here. This is the sun, this big being here. And so this is where the new moon is going to be in the sky. So again, it's in the seasonal sign of Aries. So astrologers are talking about this is, a solar eclipse in Aries. That's true. But what's also true is that the new moon is actually, in addition to being in the seasonal sign of Aries, it's also in the constellation of Pisces, or the fishes. So you can see this is where the sun will be in terms of where of the constellations. Okay. And so here's the component of what really was calling to me yesterday in the astrology course. And again, it was so alive for me in the channeling that I did this morning for the members. So the channeling was all about the eclipse and what it is, really what came through basically in the channeling was that this notion of the moon when it comes in front of the sun, right? It's going to eclipse the sun. So it'll be daylight for people who can see this eclipse. It's going to be daylight, and then the moon will move in front of the sun. And if you're in the path of totality, it will basically essentially be like it becomes nighttime for a few minutes. Um, and so in this channeling, what came through was that one way maybe that there's infinite ways, of course, to experience that, right? But the notion that was coming through was this idea that maybe it's the moon kind of like holding back the curtain, so that we can see what's always there. So wherever the sun is, we basically can't see that part of the sky at that part of the year, right? So at this time of year, we cannot see the constellation of Pisces. I mean, the constellation of Pisces is actually hard to see anytime, but we especially can't see it when the sun is there. However, and like the moon, so like on a new moon, the moon is always there. Even on a new moon, it's there, it's with the sun, it's in the same part of the sky as the sun, but we can't see the moon. Even though it's way like when it's noontime, the sun is going to be high up in the moon. Oh my God. The sun is going to be high up in the sky, and so is the moon. So the moon is right there in the daytime, but it's daytime. So because of the light of the sun, we can't see the moon, right? But at the time of a solar eclipse, then what's happening is that the moon comes right in front of the sun. And, interesting fact, if you don't already know this, the sun is exactly 400 times bigger than our moon, and also 400 times farther away from the Earth as our moon is. So because of this precise alignment of the ratios of the sizes and the distance from the Earth of our moon and the sun, that's how it's possible for us to have eclipses. And this is not a given in the relationship of various moons with their planets and our sun, right? Like most moons are not going to create a solar eclipse on their corresponding planets in the way that our moon does for us. It's like this, what was coming through in the channeling was the feeling of it being just a divinely choreographed dance, right? When everything is, but it's just so perfectly aligned, right? So again, coming back to this idea that on the solar eclipse, the moon is going to come right in front of the sun and it's going to block the light of the sun. So again, what was coming through is that maybe that's sort of like the moon holding back the curtain, like sort of giving pause to the sunlight so that what is always there suddenly is alive. So suddenly, what's always alive, but suddenly is visible to us. And so what then becomes visible that's not typically going to be visible when the sun is there is everything in the sky that's usually blocked by the sunlight at that time of year. Okay, so again, what's there behind the sun and the moon on this eclipse is the constellation of Pisces. But with the constellation of Pisces is, look at all these main things surrounding the constellation of Pisces, is the constellation of Pegasus. Pegasus was so alive for me yesterday and today in the channeling. and then also the constellation of Andromeda, and also the Andromeda galaxy. The Andromeda galaxy for me is so powerful. My south node happens to be very near what the part of the sky where the Andromeda galaxy is. So I feel like when I feel into the Andromeda galaxy, I want to say it's home. Maybe that's because it's home for me, but anyway, it calls to me big time. So so the sun and the moon are sitting in the part of the sky on this eclipse in the fishes or Pisces, the constellation, but Pegasus fits right in between the two fishes of Pisces. And then Andromeda and the Andromeda galaxy is also not very far from the Pisces constellation and the sun and the moon at this time. And then also on the other side of Pisces is the constellation of Cetus the whale. So there's, and then there's so much else here, but without even going into the details of what these constellations typically mean, I mean, even if we just take it sort of at face value, I wanted to sit with you and be with this, that there's something so powerful and so potent about Pegasus, Andromeda, the Andromeda galaxy, and Cetus the whale. Like they're all basically holding, if you see how they're arranged, they're basically holding the Pisces constellation. Do you kind of get what I'm saying here? And so therefore they're holding the sun and the moon at the time of this eclipse. And the other thing, of course, that's going to be with in the same part of the sky, the exact same part of the sky as the sun and the moon is Chiron, the wounded healer. So Pegasus, Cetus the whale, and then the Andromeda constellation, including the Andromeda galaxy, are holding the Pisces constellation or the fish with the sun and the moon and Chiron. And the other thing that has just entered Aries, the seasonal sign of Aries, but is also in the constellation of the fishes, is Venus. So typically, when Venus is this close to the sun, it's not going to be very visible, if visible at all, right? But if we pull back the curtain of the sun and suddenly the sky becomes visible, then Venus will be there near where the sun and the moon are. And just past Venus is going to be Saturn and Mars over here. And then on the other side of where the sun and the moon are is Mercury. I'm not seeing Mercury. Mercury is, well, maybe it's so close it's not even showing it. Anyway, but Mercury is going to be right here with the sun and the moon also, probably just past the constellation of Pisces, kind of heading toward the constellation of Aries. And then Jupiter and Uranus here are kind of between the constellation of Aries and the constellation of Taurus or the bull. But Jupiter should be very bright and very visible. And then another thing that may possibly maybe be visible that Kaylin Castell has talked a lot about in a really wonderful video is a comet. So I just wanted to name this just so we can, again, I would love to just feel what comes alive for you. I mean, there's so much here. It's like infinite things are here. There's, it's just like, wow, so much. Yeah. And, not far from Jupiter and Uranus. Jupiter and Uranus are heading toward the Pleiades. And so that'll be, later this year, they're going to be heading this, especially, well, Jupiter will come to conjunct the area of the sky where the Pleiades are late April, early May. So that's coming not too far from now. But yeah, anyway, so this is this whole energetic. I'm just gonna pause for a moment and just even let you feel into it. Pegasus, Cetus the whale, Andromeda and the Andromeda galaxy, holding space for the fishes, Pisces, where the sun and the moon will be at the time of this eclipse, with Venus, Jupiter and Uranus over here, Saturn and Mars over here. And I'll show you one other image of the constellation of Pisces so you can just get another view of it. So this is on Earth Sky. There's an article there you could look at about the Pisces constellation. But you could just to get another view. So the sun and the moon right at the time of this eclipse are, kind of here-ish. And here is square of Pegasus, the whole constellation of Pegasus here, right in between the two fishes. And the Andromeda constellation up here with the Andromeda galaxy there, and Cetus the whale down here. And then the water bearer or Aquarius down over here, which is where the sun was last month. So the sun moves along the ecliptic like this, along with the other planets. Yeah. So that's just another view of it. And then one other view is right here. So this is again Pisces for the fish. Here's one fish. Here's the other fish. And here's the square of Pegasus, which fits right in between that triangle of the two fishes. So that's where this eclipse is happening, and that's what's going to be like basically held, when the moon covers the sun. This is what's being revealed. All right. So I don't have a conclusion about that, right? It's like more like I'm in my own process with it. I'm just being with it, and I'm just feeling like the Pegasus energy is just so strong and calling to me, and the Andromeda energy is so strong, especially the Andromeda galaxy is so strong there. And then not to mention the Cetus the whale, and the planets, Venus and the Jupiter and the Uranus, and then Chiron, the centaur, and there's so many players. But it's all holding this beautiful space. Okay. So that's just food for thought, really, more than anything. Just wanted to share my excitement, and invite you to feel into it with me, and invite you to feel into it with yourself. And I would love to hear in the comments anything that comes alive for you, either now as you're listening to this recording, or on Monday, if you happen to be feeling into the eclipse. I think probably you will feel it. I'm feeling it already. I'm guessing a lot of us are feeling it already. Yeah. And then if you want to join the membership, please join. We do this every month. So every first Friday of the month, we gather. We have a monthly gathering, one time a month, where there's a little bit of check-in, depending on how many people are there. We check in and just get a pulse on how people are doing. And then I create every month, I create a PDF of the major transits of that month for you. And I upload it to the member portal. And then I do a channeling, whatever's needing and wanting to come through for you for that month, for the members. And yeah, so in other words, we look briefly at the astrology of the month ahead. I give you the PDF that has the major transits of the month. And then I do this monthly channeling, and it's all recorded and it's all available indefinitely. And again, like I said, it's $22 a month, and you sign up and you get access to, the last almost 2 years worth of these gatherings, like more than you probably ever need. But it's the most accessible way really to connect with me on a regular basis, trying to make it as accessible as possible. And then yeah, and then I will also be starting these sacred soul sharing circles, which are going to be limited to 8 people maximum per circle, and I'll be doing 2 circles per month. So in other words, a total of a maximum of 16 people for those. If that calls to you, if that interests you, let me know. I'm going to be holding one on every 3rd Friday of the month, starting in May at 10 a.m. Pacific. And then I'll be doing a second one that'll be at a more of an Australia friendly time, in the evening Pacific time on the 4th Saturday of the month. So the 3rd Friday of the month at 10 a.m. Pacific time, or the evening, probably about 5 p.m. Pacific time, unless somebody maybe in India wants to join, in which case I might make it a little bit later, but evening time, Pacific time on the 4th Saturday of every month. So I'll share more information about that coming up. But if that piques your interest, if you would like to be part of a small, more intimate, regular, sacred sharing circle, those are going to be starting. The Friday one will start in May. The Saturday one will either start at the end of April or the end of May, depending on how much interest there is in April. If lots of people want to join in April, I'm happy to start it in April. If it needs a little more time, I'll start at the end of May. Yeah, and in those circles, again, I'll say more later, but basically it will be a time to have on a regular basis be able to share in a smaller group just what's alive in your soul journey. And then also, if you want, optionally, if you want, each month I will look at the current transits for your particular chart in the circle. And so it won't be like a monthly in-depth astrology reading for you, but it would be sort of a way to keep track month by month of what's really alive in the stars for you. And in a setting that's safe, where I get to know you and I know your soul journey enough to say, in a little mini focused way, yeah, like the Saturn Mars conjunction is right on your sun or whatever it is, right? And so blah 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 themes might be alive for you. That would be kind of more that level of things. But I'm hoping it'll be really supportive and a really beautiful way for a smaller group of people to have regular, consistent community time like that. Okay, so be in touch with any questions. Certainly join the membership if you like. If you want access to today's channeling, today's gathering, join the membership and it will be there, along with all the other almost 2 years worth of gatherings. Okay, very good. Keep me updated. Comment on what's happening for you in this eclipse time. I would love to hear. All right. I will see you soon. And eclipse blessings.